All right, so today is April 21st, Thursday, and we are doing a part of start of the mental health and taking care of our mind, our body, and our soul and everything, but talking about the mind. And this particular course is actually from a lady, which I will share with you guys and show it and give credit to her. You guys can follow her on her Instagram page too. But this course is basically about you. It's about you um, doing a looking at yourself and thinking about where you are now, basically, and where you're trying to go. So this is about a personal. You know, if you've been journaling or doing a diary or anything like that, this can just add on to that. But you can have a piece of paper and pencil and write this down. And then when you guys watch this video too, you guys can pause it and look at the bullet points as well if you need to ever go back to it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is part of the mental health series here that we're doing for women's health. Excuse me. You guys can see my stuff on here. Thumbs up. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. So this slide is, if you see on here, it says the maestro movement. That is actually on her Instagram. I'll give you her name here, which is on the slide too, but I'm gonna pull it up real quick so you guys can see it. Okay, so it is what it's, if you go into Instagram and you search the movement maestro, the movement, and then the way it's spelled maestro, is Dr. Shante Cofield. She is a physical therapist, a licensed physical therapist. And you can follow her page. She's got a lot. She's basically like a motivational speaker. And I had shared with you guys that when I did this course, this was during the time when the pandemic was at its peak and everybody was isolated. We couldn't do any continuing education in person, so I managed to find this online with the women's workshop that I did. And she opened up, starting first with the whole workshop with all of us clinicians, and we were just being honest about each other, what was going on. And you know, that was, like I said, it was during the peak of the pandemic. A lot of us was exhausted. A lot of us was stressed and dealing with anxiety issues. And, you know, it was like a lot of mental and psychological trauma with some of us health clinicians that had spoke about it because of what we've been seeing and experiencing during this time with the pandemic, with people getting COVID and people dying left and right, and just how we had to pretty much jump into full, like, first line of defense to go in and try to battle something that we really didn't know how to battle it at first and what to do. So everything was trial and error, and a lot of time, and with that era, it cost a lot of us health clinicians, and I'm just saying us in general, to contract the virus and be very sick. Some clinicians had lost their lives. I will tell you guys, I did lose a coworker to COVID. She was one of the ones that was working in a skilled setting, and that building got hit, and a lot of patients and healthcare clinicians were affected with COVID. And she had it along with a couple other coworkers I knew, and they did the routine protocol, went to the hospital and everything, and 3 days later she was gone. And we were just like, whoa, wait a minute, you know? So a lot was going on during that time, just speaking as a clinician, from the clinician side of what we were experiencing, and just having to deal with families and people losing lives, and dealing with families and losing their family loved ones, and just all kind of stuff. So anyways, during all this, during this workshop, she opened up. Her name is Shante Cofield, and she has a doctorate in PT and a lot of other things as well. But what was great was, like I said, motivational speaker. She used her life and just encouraged us to look at our lives as well. So she's a good person to follow on Instagram. She has a lot of followers. Okay, so it's going to talk about her. So that's why I want to give credit to her. This is her presentation, and I wanted to share it with you guys to motivate and encourage you guys. Okay, so her presentation was called More You. So this is about you. So, you know, think about yourself in this. The power of passion. So this was a 90-minute course, and she had the first thing on here. What would make the next 90 minutes a success for you? So in this case, while I'm doing this with you guys, what would make the time that we're doing this right now, that I'm sharing with you guys, the next few minutes, a success for you? So this is where you need to be thinking about you with the things that I'm sharing on here. And she said, notice I said for you. Success is subjective. You must define it for yourself. Okay. To become more successful, you do not have to change who you are. You have to become more of who you are, which is by Sally Hogsheed, which is that book, that book I showed you guys. I didn't say it, but this is the book right here. It's called How the World Sees You, and it's a quote by this author with this book. Okay, it's a pretty thick book, so excuse me. So the question was, who are you? That was the question. And so she said she go first. So this is who she is. You could tell by this picture, her personality. I already knew. I was like, I'm signing up for this chick. I don't know what this chick is about, but I'm signing up to take her class. So she's a PT, physical therapist by trade, best life liver by choice, which means she chose this field. She resides in her dream town, Redondo Beach, California. Okay, that's her dream area that she wanted to live in. She works for herself and she is officially unemployable. Her best friend is Rupert, which is her cat. Her dream car name is Peggy, and she has an incredible home gym, which she does. She is an introvert, which I know some of you guys on here, or those who would listen to this video, are introverts. A problem solver and an action taker. She believes in leading from the front, that happiness is a choice, and that more you is better. So basically, the more you be who you are, the better. So what about you? So this is where we type in, or, you know, take a second to think about, who are you? Okay. If y'all need time, you can just let me know. I don't want to rush through this, okay? The things you do are not random. The things you like are not coincidences. They are all very you, and are likely what you need more of if you're feeling some kind of way. Okay. So she gave us a list of things that we might need to hear. Being selfish is not a bad thing. Being selfless isn't sustainable or admirable. Let them call you obsessed. It's a compliment. Your opinion matters. You deserve happiness and joy. Things are better when you take up space. Raise your hand and say the thing. There is enough to go around. Borrowed goals ain't the way. And she did expound on each one of these. Perfectionism is a form of procrastination. Right now is the best time to be alive. If they won't give you a seat at the table, build your own table and invite your friends. Confidence is a byproduct of action. You are not bad at following through. You're bad at setting goals. You are responsible for how you allow people to treat you. And you do not need another course certification in order to get started. That was for us. Okay. But she did explain some things with this, you know, of course, being selfish, you know, just because you need to focus or take time out from everything else that's going on around you, especially when it involves family or friends or anything like that. It's not a bad thing. It's not being selfish, because at the end of the day, you know, you live in your own self, your own being. And so you you know, you deserve to take care of you. If you're not here, everything else, what's going to happen to it? You know, being selfless is sustainable or admirable. Of course, your opinion matters. And yes, we do deserve happiness and joy. Okay. It's one thing to, and I like to say, it's one thing to be happy. It's another thing to have joy, because you can be sad and go through some tough times and still have joy in your heart. So just be mindful of that. Of course, things are better when you take up space. Raise your head, raise your hand, and say the thing. Sometimes we tend to pull back and don't want to say anything. And it's like, well, instead of just sitting back and just letting it go by, speak up about it. You know, be mindful. You know, we being healthcare clinicians, you know, we're all stressed out. We're dealing with issues with our job, not just with patients, but from a business side too. A lot of us got affected from a business side. Some of us had our hours cut, our pay cut, things like that, because of how the system was set up. And I had shared with some of y'all before, with some people before, you know, healthcare is a business. And so when elective surgeries and everything got put on hold, a lot of us clinicians, including myself, we didn't work for a few weeks, you know, but we still had to make a living. So we were getting checks and things like that. So, you know, a lot of this was thing about us in this profession. A lot of people wanted to quit. Some people did quit, you know, all kind of stuff. So there is enough to go around. So don't ever sit there and think that there's nothing there for you. There is room and things for you to have. So whatever it is that you are trying to pursue or go after, and you don't think it can happen to you, don't do that, because you deserve it just as much as anybody else. In spite of your background, what you know, what you don't know, your experiences and everything. Okay. If it's for you and you believe in it, then, you know, you deserve it. You should go for it. Borrowed goals ain't the way, which I can relate that on a fitness aspect. Because a lot of times people look at other people in fitness and want what they have, but they don't know what they went through to get that. And not only that, it may not be something that is for you. You're just inspired by how they got there and what they did to do that. But don't get caught up thinking that you want to be what they are, because you don't know what it took for them to get there. You are your own person, and you have to be the best you that you can be, and do what you need to. So that was a really big one that was a big slap on the face for a lot of us. Right now is the best time to be alive. Obviously, you know, with so much death and everything was going on around us and everything, it was the best time to be alive. Perfectionism is a form of procrastination. That was a pretty big pill to swallow. When you're too focused on being perfect and being like this and being like that, it can limit you from reaching your goals, because you're trying to be too perfect for it. It won't be there. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that kind of thing. Okay. So yeah. And of course, this is a great quote, great saying here. If they won't give you a seat at the table, build your own table and invite your friends. Yeah. So that's a nice slide there. I left it there for a good time. All right. So now we're at the game plan. This time is about you. And she says, not me. So of course, if you have questions, you can ask them in the chat. She had, let's see. Yeah. So we're just focusing on the game plan. So I know I said it was about you, but there's a little more about her. So she went into more about her. So this kind of gives you a little parallel of her life. And I remember some of the things she said. That's how she got started. She was athletic. That's where she started. That's where she wanted to be. So she started playing sports and all this as a kid. Her goal she wanted to do is be a surfer and live out in California on the coast. That's her life. She wanted to be out there on the coast. Okay. Of course, she went to grad school, got her doctorate, physical therapy, all this stuff. She got her schooling and practice in the state of New York. So that's where she was living, in New York. And her goal was for her to, just where she wanted to be was in the West Coast, at her favorite city where she is now, and living her life, surfing and all that stuff. That's where she wanted to be. That's her end result. You know what I mean? And I know y'all have those in mind. I'm not saying this is not something that's new to you. So she did her first job coming out into the field. She worked in recovery PT at Grand Central Station for about a year. She left there because she hated the model, which means she hated the model and the structure of how her job was performed. So she worked there for a year and she left it. Second job, she worked in recovery PT, and she worked there for another year and she left there because it wasn't growing. So think about your job right now, right? So first time she didn't like what the job was about because of the model and the structure of it. Second job she did, she didn't like that it was not helping her grow. She was just there and, just working day to day and not feeling like she's going to, get better or grow anywhere with what she's doing. And she wants to do more. So she got her own clinic because she thought it would give her options. And then she worked with a third job and she got certified on pelvic floor, which is something I would like to do too myself, is to get certified in pelvic floor. So that was her third job. And she said, hint, a central theme was taking action in response to things that she did not want or like. So like she said, if you didn't like it or you didn't want it and you're not for it, she took action to line herself to make changes so that she could not be there because she didn't want to live that way or work in that kind of environment like that. Let's see. Okay, so these are some of the thoughts that she thought about. She was disenchanted with the traditional PT model. She didn't like the model of how the physical therapy was done at that first job. She questioned if she was truly helping people, which I've been down that road because, we talk about how the industry now is so insurance driven. We don't get to really make the decisions when we know what's appropriate for a patient because insurance will dictate otherwise. So, we have to alter what we plan to do to help people so that we can accommodate what they want to have happen for the patient when we know that they can do so much more. Of course, she got burnt out from the caseload and the patient type. Caseload where she had worked, she had mentioned that she saw so many patients in one day that it was just like clockwork, paperwork, just treating them like quantity. Everyone's a number. Okay, who's next? Okay, who's next? Okay, who's next? Okay, who's next? It was that type of feel. So she had the Sunday scaries and on Friday, so she worked weekends and she wasn't big on that. She was at a point where she would rather work at Costco than be in the field with physical therapy. So she said in 2014, she wrote a list. And she said, as humans, it is easiest for us to identify things we don't like and the things we've already done. Okay. So she wrote a list of things that she did not want as a part of her day in her life. And then she worked to cross things off one at a time. So this was one of those things where this may not happen for you to do right now, but looking at where you are and what you're doing and what's going on in your life right now, she wanted us to think and write about the things that we did not want to be a part of our life. In terms of our job, if you don't like the way your job is doing, these are things that you need to write down and see and be surprised with the list of things that you don't like and see if you're actually doing these things and how long have you been doing them and what are you going to do to change it instead of just accepting it and going with emotions and just making, oh, well, I'll just deal with it. Well, you've been dealing with it for so long that it's still, you're not where you want to be. You know what I mean? So she wanted us to do, to write a list or she told us on here to write like maybe 3 things or something like that. And then, then work to cross things off one at a time. So this is a sample of what she didn't like. She don't like to wake up early, meaning she want to wake up when she wake up. To have to wake up with an alarm clock at that. So when she wake up, okay, I'm good. I'm ready to start my day. She didn't want an alarm clock or nothing to wake her up. To walk to work in the snow. She didn't want to walk to work in the snow because she was in New York. She wanted to be on the beach and be a surfer. You see what I'm saying? She didn't want to deal with crappy weather, which she talked about in New York's crappy weather. To go to work, when it was dark, because she used to work, because of how the weather is and how the time zone changes and stuff. She had mentioned that when she go to work, it was dark. And then when she get off work, it was dark. So she didn't like that. So yeah, to go to work when it was dark and to leave work, it was dark. To only have weekends to do things, because, you know, sometimes with us, we do rotational shifts. She was working in a hospital too at the time. So to do rotational shifts, every clinician will have to work a weekend. And she didn't want to do that. And she dread Monday on Friday night. So what she does, she works, and when Friday hits, there's the weekend, but then she's dreading because she's got to prepare for Monday, because she's a PT. So she's doing a lot of extra documentation or things like that when she's off work to catch up, and then she's ready to start back at it again. You see what I'm saying? So just kind of giving you a gist of what she was sharing, that you guys can see how it can line up with what you have going on. So of course the question was what's on your list? Okay, so what she did with this list is she wrote down what she didn't like. So then the next thing that she did was she used it as a guide to make decisions. Now she see what she doesn't like to do with her life and everything at that moment. And now she sees it. Now she has a choice to make, has a chance to make a decision now that she sees what's written down. She wasn't going to quit her job immediately, but she did use the list to see what she could do to change the way she does her job. Okay, so she switched to a 4 10-hour day. So instead of working 5 8-hour days, she reduced it to a 4 10-hour day. So she works longer in 4 days, and then she has extra days off. So she started with what seemed to be most achievable and almost important, and did not want to only have weekends to do things, but did not want to dread Monday and Friday. So she eliminated 2 of the things on her list that she didn't like just by doing that. Excuse me, said this wound up being terrible. So eventually she asked to switch to 5 days with the same schedule, not the typical alternating hours. She was told no, but was given 3 earlier days and 2 late days. So they kind of split how her shift was done. So this at least addressed not wanting to leave work when it was dark, but was a red flag for me, you know? So she was just trying to do different things to make altercations. The whole thing about this whole part that she was sharing is that she's trying to take action to see what she could do to make adjustments and start eliminating things on her list, basically. Let's see, take talking points. If you never ask, the answer will always be a no. When it comes to solving a problem, let it be easy. Let it be easy. So when she said that, she was talking to us in terms of like when you're with your job or whatnot, and let's say that you know, if you don't ask for a raise, they may tell you no, but they may tell you yes. But how do you know if you don't ask? So if you don't ask, it's always going to be a no, because you never took the initiative to ask in the first place. Or days off, or I want to work, you know, I would like to work 4 days instead of 5 days a week. I don't mind working maybe an additional hour on the 4 days. I just need 3 days off. So a lot of times we tend to not ask, and we just keep accepting what it is because we think that they'll say no. But even if they did, you don't give them a chance to say it in the first place. And who knows, they may say yes. So that's the point that she was bringing out across with that. And I'm just using that as an example, but you can ask for anything. So the big changes she did, she took she took a rock tape course. You guys know me because with all the taping, it's a form of taping technique. She did that. She couldn't do it. Let's see. So that was in 2015. When she did rock tape, she started doing seminars and stuff with it, promoting the rock tape and showing other clinicians on how to do it. So that's what she meant by that. Let's see. Setting hours. Okay, so the bottom part of the slide, she basically wanted to do her own thing, and she used the rock tape clinic and she started her own clinic basically. And so based on the hours and the things that she listed, let's see. basically, she just lined it up on her terms because that's what she was doing. And of course, she moved from New York to California and had a space and treated out thanks to IG. So her Instagram is basically her big, she has like thousands of followers that follow her. And so her platform on social media is part of her career too now. So she's a motivational speaker and she does a lot of things on Instagram. And so thanks to IG, she started doing those things and making changes. She starts sharing her journey and her story on social media and managed to get a lot of people to join her with it. So she says, sometimes the change doesn't need to be as big as you think. Sometimes it does. It's perfectly fine to start with small, calculated steps and have a safety net in place. When the time comes, though, if the next step is a leap, you must leap. If you are making small changes along the way, you will build momentum, and that leap won't be as big or scary as you once imagined it to be. And so I like this because, like I said, I'm open for y'all to be open with what you want to share. But I will tell you, I had a dream back when I was in Crestview at the time, living in Florida before I moved here. I had a dream that I always had dreams with water. So that means a lot whenever there's water with dreams with water. But I had a dream that I was leaping on these little lily pads in like a forest or whatever. And, because I was fear, I didn't want to get in the water because I feel like I might drown or something and fall in the water. So I came all the way to this last lily pad. And then I looked further out in front of me and it was nothing but just pure water. Like you just look at the ocean and you just see how peaceful and calm it is out there. And that's all it was. So I came up to this lily pad and I was supposed to leap, but all I saw was water. I didn't see another lily pad. I didn't see nothing else I can leap onto. So I just stood there and I felt like I was at a stopping point and I didn't know where else to go. And I can see it and feel that where I was supposed to be is out there, but I looked around and couldn't figure out how to get there. And all I had to do was leap without knowing what would come out of it when I leaped. And so I had, in the dream, what ended up happening was I dropped my head. I just dropped my head down and felt sad. And I turned around and I walked back over the lily pads and went back to where I was coming from. And then I woke up. I woke up from that dream. I felt so depressed. I was sad. I was crying. I was just like, I can't believe it. I feel like something in my life is coming and I can feel it. And for some reason, I'm having a hard time getting there and I don't know why. And I'm not taking a leap or a jump to get out toward it because I don't know how to get there. And even if I did, I just didn't have the strength and believe in myself that let me just jump anyways and just see what happens. There was no lily pad there for me to jump on. So instead of me taking that leap of faith and just taking that jump out there and jump into the water, ain't no telling what could have came out of it. I dropped my head and turned around and went back. And I just felt like I kept having a repeated cycle happening in my life. And I just couldn't get out of this repeated spinning wheel cycle in my life, because that dream was basically showing me where I was in my life at that time. And so fast forward to maybe a couple years ago, I can't think of it at the top of my head, I came back to this same dream again. And I hadn't dreamed this dream in a long time. I came back to the same dream and I came up to that same lily pad and I looked out in the water. So nothing happened. I woke up. And I woke up and I said to myself, I'm not going to have this type of dream again. I said, whatever it is that's going on, I need to take a look at my life right now, see what everything is going on in my life right now, and find out what this is, because I'm not going to continue living this way. And this is like, this was like when I was in Florida, this was like almost 10 years ago. So this feeling that I had from that dream in Florida at the time, I felt that way when I came here to Atlanta. And I felt that way for years. And then I want to say it's probably around the time when I started meeting you guys at Just Fitness in Snellville, that all of a sudden I felt like I was getting somewhere with what I was doing, because I felt like I wasn't getting and achieving the goals that I was trying to achieve with what I did. And I'm talking about from my profession, from my family, from my career, dance and fitness. I mean, it wasn't even Tiff Dance Fit at the time. It was Instep Dance Fit. You know, I was facing a lot of different challenges at that time. And um, so that dream woke me up, and I said, I'm not going to wake up feeling like this again. I'm determined to find out what it is. So I just kept working at it, pursuing and pursuing. Don't know where I'm going, but I can feel that I feel like and then I knew I was feeling and knowing I was going in the right direction, even though I still couldn't see what I was doing. But I felt good. It was challenging, but I trusted. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And still didn't know what was going on. So it happened when all of a sudden I wrote about my vision and my goal with Tiff Dance Fit. And I remember that year, because that was the year that I started doing a lot of stuff in Snellville. This is when I started doing a bunch of events. It was that year when I did the Madonna tribute. I did all the tributes with Madonna, Prince, because Prince passed away, which today is his anniversary, by the way, of his death. It's been 5 years now, I believe. But and then I did Janet, and I was doing Michael and everything, and did the breast cancer. I just started doing a whole bunch of events. I start formulating a lot of stuff, and I realized that I was in my element, and I felt like I was getting my element back with what I was doing with dance and fitness again, because it was pretty dry at that time leading up to that point. I was just trying to get in emotions and get myself knowing people and networking and everything in this area, in the whole Atlanta area, before I came to Gwinnett County. And so when all that was coming to play, then I started getting connections, and people start looking at me and start reaching out to me. And then this is at the time when Jimmy came. So then now this dream is now coming to reality, because I actually dreamed again with this dream that I was at that lily pad and I leaped. There was no lily pad for me to jump on. I leaped, I landed in the water, and I woke up. And when I woke up, all of a sudden, everything started changing in my life in the past couple of years. From, my family to my career to everything. And it's just been going nonstop ever since. So when you guys were seeing me, and people were like, Tiff, you need to sit back and just look and just take in everything that you've been doing and what's been going on. At that time, I wasn't paying attention to it because I was going like this the whole time. And then I sat back and looked at it. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize how much stuff that I was doing these past few years. And I mean, this was like right after Katina was born, my daughter, and she's now 6. So within the past 3 to 4 years, things was already going into place. So this slide is very, very pertinent to, very relevant with where I was in my life at the time. And reading that took me back to that. Now, I wasn't thinking that when I saw this slide with her, but I'm thinking about it now since I've read it. So I say that because, this is something where you guys have to think about where are you right now? And this 21-day challenge that I had you guys do, with this 21-day challenge, the goal was to eliminate anything that's distracting you so you can focus on what you're trying to achieve and go forward in, no matter what it is. It didn't have to necessarily be fitness related. Could be nutrition, could be your own personal lives. And just hearing some of y'all's responses was just like, wow, you guys are getting it, and y'all are going through these changes in these 21 days. And the thing is, it's not really the 21 days. Y'all been experiencing, going through this whole time before the 21 days. It's just now the 21 days, you're now starting to pay more attention to it or seek it for what it is. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it, So taking that leap, I'm taking another leap. I'm learning how to leap. You see what I'm saying? And that to me is indicating progress, is that you don't know where it will end up, but if you believe it and trust it enough and it's legit and it's good, you have nothing to lose. You if anything, you'll be right where you are, So that's where that was with that slide. Did y'all want to comment or anything to say? You guys are open to that. I'll give a pause for a minute. Sherry, Vivian, Beverly.
When you say that, you just with the 21-day challenge, and I was saying it before that sometimes mentally you don't know that you're struggling with something, but when you take a step back and to say, I'm gonna deal with this, then you realize that this thing has been bothering me, this thing has been bugging me, but it's never a problem until you start looking at it the right way.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
strange, but
yeah. I mean, and sometimes, you know, it may not be something that's necessarily harmless, but it may be time for you to put it down.
Yeah.
And let it go. And that's what I felt like with Zumba. Nothing against Zumba. I love it. But I knew that, okay, when I'm a type of person, which you guys know me, if I say I'm gonna do something, I commit to it, I'm in, and I'm gonna stick with it. And I'll go at it full force. But sometimes I have a tendency, which I'll tell on myself, I have a tendency to stick with some things for too long. And I'm learning that that's something about me, period. With anything, I have a tendency when I stick with something, I'm gonna go at it full force. And sometimes I may not do it as much, but it's still there and I'm just being faithful and loyal to it. But then there's also a time when you have to stop and it's time to move on. It's not a bad thing, nothing wrong. It's just now the season for it is done. And in order for you to go into something else different, you have to let that go because that's what's consuming or taking up your time for you to not be able to do something different. So I like what you said about that, Vivian, because it's so true. You'll find that you look at something and you look at it again, you realize, do I really need that? Do I really need to do that? You know, should I still stay in this? Is this where, is this it? You know, when you know how you say something like, is that it? That's all I'm getting from this? And you feel like that's not enough. That's something to look at and think about. Is it really getting you where you're supposed to be? You know, eliminating past, holding on to past things and things you've done. Sometimes it's a great thing and celebratory. And I find myself sometimes I look at some things that I may have achieved and been great, and it's in the past. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's the past. I can't make my mind go back to that because it was such a great moment. It was for that moment at that time. I got to have new moments now. I can't use my past moments to make my current moment set me up for what's coming. That's been the past. It's done. That was for what was needing to be done at that time. Now you got a new thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. One, and I mean, I'm not trying to throw church. No, it ain't about that. I just remember reading one time in the Bible about wine skins and the purpose of how wine is being made, and you can't use old wine skins to make new wine, because old wine skins is what was for at that time, for what you did to make that wine at that time. You can't recycle that to make something new. You have to have new wine skins. So it was it was a parable to that. I don't have it directly, but I just know that's there. So if y'all have ever heard of that, it's there. But it's like it says, you know. So Sherry, you good? I don't know if you're staring into the screen or what. You're good? Okay. Okay. All right. So the not so big leaps, of course, she traveled the country teaching rock tape, she built her own brand. That's what she was doing. She hit 10,000 followers at that time in the mid 2016, which she has way more than that now. 10,000 followers on her Instagram. She was getting asked to speak at different events. She even went to Dubai. She stopped formally treating in 2018. So, you know, if we were to take it back, I believe she graduated in, let's see. She graduated in 2003, or she got an undergrad or whatnot. Okay, so, and then her first job was in 2010. So 8 years later, now she's doing her own thing in 8 years. She launched her own in-person movement course, Moving with Maestro. So this is actually her baby, the Movement with Movement Maestro. That's her baby. That's her brand. In November, and she started in New Zealand and Australia, launched her first digital products and online coaching program and everything. Of course, she created a new list of things of what she didn't want. So when you do one list and you complete it, you have some new I don'ts, go through them. You know, there is power in writing. I always believe that writing puts you into action because you have it written down and you're looking at it. It's going to make you take action because you can see it. Of course, she did a lot of traveling, yes, all this stuff, but she managed to basically do her own thing. COVID-19 pushed everyone into digital space, and she had made a hard pivot into only teaching and talking digital business, which that kind of worked with me too at the time, because I told y'all before the pandemic hit that I was going to start doing training and stuff online, and it just pushed me to go ahead and start doing it at that time. Received a ton of business for folks wanting to learn how to use social media, support and grow the business, and everything like that. She built her own home gym, and she fell in love with where she lived, which she now lives out in California, and she has her surfboard and wants to go out and surf. So she said, but this isn't about me, this is about you. Although the Roger Bannister effect is very real, your life is different than mine. And I'm not here to tell you that just because I did it, you can do it too. I am, however, here to, okay, that's if she wants to change, yeah. Here to say, if you want to change something, you absolutely can. So she says, go back to your list. What is the easiest, most achievable thing you can cross off your list? So when you make your list, what is the easiest thing on that list that you wrote that you can achieve and cross off your list? And it says, what is one step that you can implement right now? What can you do right now? And people start typing what they wanted to do. Some people was like cut hours, go part-time, start their own personal bit. You know, it was just all those type of feedback that people had. Talk to their boss and let them know that, hey, this is what I need to do. The goal here is twofold. So one is create a void. The universe hates a void. Create one and allow it to be filled in with something better. So whatever voids you have in your life that you feel like that's not being fulfilled, create one and allow it to be filled in with something better. Okay. All I say is do it right. Don't harm yourself or nobody else. The second thing is addition by subtraction. Become more you by cutting out things that are less of you. So whatever is out there to show more of who you are, you need to cut away those things that are not doing that. It's a waste of time, and there's no need to keep holding on to that. I can be a witness to that. Because I continued, even though I didn't really completely get it at the time, I'm at the point now where I am who I am with Tiff Dance Fit, just as an example, using Tiff Dance Fit. My brand and what I do is what it is. I'm staying in my lane of what I do, and just believe that there are people out there that can benefit from the things that I do with Tiff Dance Fit. I cannot mold myself to be under anybody else or be anybody else. This event coming up that I'm doing, that's a dance event, is amazing because it's my name on it in terms of the backing and the support of having these guest instructors come in. And Tiff Dance Fit name is on the line of this big highlighted event that's coming in June. And I'm reminding myself that it didn't take me being somebody else to get to this point. I was being who I am all these years. They've seen everything I've done for my events. They've heard great things about me. They've seen how I've been great in involving the community. They've seen how I do a lot for women's health. They see what I do for health. They know I dance. They know that I can benefit to help out dancers with their bodies and training and injury prevention and stuff. So all these things are things of who I've always been. So now they create a platform for me to be able to do that. And they're supporting what I'm doing using their platform and their network of people that they have that follows them to be on board with what Tiff Dance Fit is about. But I didn't add any. Only thing I added was something that would make me more of who I am. And I'm cutting away those things that really don't have a need to be a part of me like that, because it's not helping me be who I really am. So I want you guys to just think about whatever it is, whoever you are as your own person, whatever it is, if it's not adding to you, it's what it is. It's not adding to you, and you need to cut away from it. And that is harder said than, it's harder done than said. I get it. Let's get tactical, getting things down. Write down all those things. So write down the worst case scenario for each. Okay. My worst case scenario for this event is if I don't, if it doesn't help me go where it needs to go, am I still going to be okay and at joy and peace about it? Yeah, because this is a dream come true for me. I never thought that I would get a yes from this from a choreographer I have always dreamed to work for. I've always dreamed since I was first in college that I wanted to work for this person, and now I am hiring them to work for me on a project. It's been turned around. Never thought if I was ever going to do anything like that. But worst case scenario, if nothing gets out of this event and it, Tiff Dance Fit still continue where I am right now, I'll be okay with it, because I've achieved, that was a big achievement for me to do anyway. So that's just an example there. Pick one thing that you wrote on your list to work on first. Pay someone to hold you accountable. I tell you, accountability, this is why you guys are on here too. I believe that you guys are part of the Tiff Dance Fit is because of accountability. When you have someone that's on you saying, hey, are you okay? You doing all right? What's going on? I'm just checking in on you, text you. You good? Okay. You're not doing your stuff? Okay. I just want to make sure you're all right. But that accountability is what keeps you going. Set dates. I remember Bishop T.D. Jakes talked about one of his messages when he did his book on SOAR. I don't know if you guys know who Bishop T.D. Jakes is, but he did a book called SOAR. It was a couple years back, and he did one of his ministries, and he talked about that, and he brought up a part of his message where he talked about something that will get people moving is setting a clock, putting a clock to it. And that's one thing that I have done with myself is when I set dates on something, it makes you take action to meet that date. Even if you don't necessarily meet the date like you should, the fact that you took action to reach toward it, you're moving. Because sometimes if you don't put a clock or a time to it, you won't move because it's not something that's going to get you going. So it's like what, April 21st. Okay. By June 21st, I want to have all this stuff accomplished by this date. Whether you make the date or not, you are taking action in it. You see what I'm saying? It makes you move when you set dates and the clock. Check in with you on a weekly basis. It's 21-day challenge. It's a challenge for me because I'm trying to go live with you guys every day, which is something I don't do every day, yet alone be live with it. And then y'all are following through with it. So it's helping y'all be accountable. Reassess as you go and make sure that the goal is in fact yours. Borrowed goals ain't the way. You cannot mimic anybody else. You have to do what you do. You can be inspired by people, and be inspired by people is one thing, but trying to do what they did is not really realistic because you're not them. I always say in the field, whenever I talk to patients, I see like a total knee, for example, and they're like, you've done this a lot. And I say, yeah. They're like, does anybody else feel like this? I said, yeah, there are people who feel like that. And they always want to know, like, how long does it take for me to feel better? How long does it take? And the answer to me is, I don't know. It's based off of you and how you follow through with this stuff. And if it doesn't work, I got to come up with other techniques to help your knee get better. I tell them, I was like, I can see 20 total knees at one time from the same surgeon doing the exact same surgery on the person. And I guarantee you, all 20 of them, all 20 people are different. Same kind of surgery, same surgeon, same knee. It could be the same knee. All 20 of them are going to be different. Their pain levels are different. How they respond to the surgery is different. the type of medications, their lifestyle that they've had prior to getting to the surgery is different. So you cannot do borrowed goals or be something else. You know, this is why with Tiff Dance Fit, when you guys, you know, I ask you what your goals are. What are you trying to achieve? All I'm giving you is fact stuff. Like, this is the baseline. This is just a requirement for you to stay healthy and what you need to do. Now you need to look at where you are with it and make the adjustments. You see, you get what I'm saying? You have to make those adjustments. I know cardio recommendation is 3 to 5 days a week, 20 to 60 minutes of constant rhythmic activity, you know? But what do you like to do? Not everybody want to go swimming for 60 minutes. Some people like to sprint for 20. Some people like to do stairs, climb mountains or whatever. Everybody's different. Still doing the same goal, but just differently, okay? Stick to your deadlines. Finish. And the hardest part that people do not do enough of is celebrate. Celebrate your goal, no matter how small it is. Even if you haven't reached your goal yet, but you're making steps toward it and people are seeing it and loving it, celebrate it. You worked hard for that moment. You worked hard to get to that point. Celebrate. Okay? Use this accomplishment as hard evidence the next time you get in your head about how you struggle to turn ideas into action, and then repeat the steps as necessary. You are your own motivator when you do these things. You'll remember, man, I remember when I did that, it was so great. Now I know what I need to do. I got to get back into my momentum and flowing again. Okay. Let's get tactical, overcoming imposter syndrome. Right off the bat, I fully support walking away from things if they bring you that much anxiety or stress. Okay. Use wisdom. But yeah, I agree it too. I agree it too. Walk away from those things that bring you much anxiety or stress. It's not healthy for you anyway. I can attest to that. That's why I did the cardiac health. Okay. If you want to be doing something, then do it. Focus on that thing and that thing alone. Okay. Understand that you will very likely suck, make mistakes, not be that good in the beginning. That's growth. That's just part of growth. Okay. Make sure that you do, in fact, want to be doing this thing, and then focus on your process, not what everyone else is doing. I can't tell you the number of students that want to come into the field and do healthcare and be in physical therapy and all that. But that's the whole purpose of us having clinical rotations, is for students to come on board and experience what it's like to really be out in the field. Because the main thing is to make sure if they're really wanting to do this or not. And there are some students that realize, you know what? I'm not a people person. You have to be a people person in the healthcare field. If you're not concerned about your patients and you're just there for a check, you are in the wrong profession. You know, patients don't need that. If you see something that makes you ooh and all this and you can't do it, you may have to question it, you know, things like that. So that's just some examples there. Again, if the thing brings you that much stress, don't do it. It's not being a quitter. Do not throw these things in your head about that. If something brings you stress and you don't do it and you're tired of it and you want to let it go, let it go. You're not quitting it. Your mind's going to tell, oh, well, come on, you've been doing it for this long or this and that. Don't do it. It's protecting your peace. Okay. Everything in life doesn't have to be a struggle. If you decide you do, in fact, what you do, the thing, then mind your business and do what you came to do. In other words, stop looking at other stuff. If that's what you're going to do, focus on what you're supposed to do and do it. Do what you came to do. If you're going to go at it, go at it. So you want to do the thing. To me, having confidence is the antidote for imposter syndrome. So let's chat about how to improve confidence. Okay. These are 10 tips for improving confidence. Put your oxygen mask on first. In other words, breathe. Do more things that you love and enjoy. I done went back to skating. I don't skate all the time, but every now and then I throw my little skate moments and count it as cardio. Man, I tell you, now I ain't going back to my past, but it made me enjoy what I did as a kid. I love to skate. I wanted to be out there and do like Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. So I'm showing y'all my age, but but that's what I was into. I wanted to figure skate. Celebrate yourself and others. Take ownership of your successes and victories. Take responsibility for the outcomes of your decisions. Surround yourself with confident people. Ooh. If people ain't there, it's, I will tell you guys, since I had started this event, I have got a lot of feedback on it and a lot of attention all of a sudden from people who ain't really paid attention to me for years. All of a sudden they're like, oh, Tiff, are you serious? This is what you're doing? So, I said to myself, I had to start discerning and be very discerning about my circle of people. What's your motive? Why are you around me? What you want? I'm at what you want. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. You take care. Have a good day. That's it. Move on. Do more things that you are good at. Okay. Those things will keep you motivated too. If you ain't got time for it, but you're good at it, you may want to get back into it. It may help get you to go to the next step with other things. Practice contentment and acceptance. Okay. You may not be super great at it, but you love the hell out of it. Man, I ain't did this in 20 years. I'm back having fun with it, but it ain't like I used to be, but that's okay. I love it and I'm enjoying it. Say no to things that you want to say not to. So instead of saying, oh, I'm not sure about that, you may not do it. Just say no. 2 simple letters, sometimes it's hard to say. And also I can say it's also hard to say yes to some things. I will take that too. Some things, you can be a yes to, and it's fine, but you won't say yes to it. Be scared by doing it anyway. When you're scared of it, that's you getting in the way. Just do it anyway. Okay. So these are 10 tips for improving confidence. Okay. An important message. Putting yourself first doesn't mean there is less room for others. That's a true statement. Remember, there is plenty to go around. Putting yourself first gives others permission to do the same. Now, that's a good pill to swallow. Because I would say, as women, we are quick to do everything for everyone else and ignore ourselves. But if we do that, that's how people are going to treat us, even those closest to us. Because they're focused on themselves and they're like, well, I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this for me. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah. Okay. Putting yourself first gives others permission to do the same. So when you value yourself and you say, look, I'll get to it, but you got to give me a minute. Okay. That's all they can say. You know what I'm saying? And there's a good chance that is exactly what your patients need. And maybe a good thing that's what they need, All right, let's close the loop of learning. All right, so now we go back to that same list of things that we talked about earlier. After going through all that, now you go back into this list. Being selfish is not a bad thing. Being selfless isn't sustainable or admirable. Let them call you obsessed. It's a compliment. Your opinion matters. You deserve happiness and joy. Things are better when you take up space. Raise your hand and say the thing. There is enough to go around. Borrowed goals ain't the way. Perfectionism is a form of procrastination. Right now is the best time to be alive. If they won't give you a seat at the table, build your own table and invite your friends. Confidence is a byproduct of action. You are not bad at following through. You are bad at setting goals. You are responsible for how you allow people to treat you. You do not need other, and in that part, that's not pertinent to y'all. The things you do are not random. The things you like are not coincidences. They are all very you and are very likely what you need more of if you're feeling some kind of way. So this is her personal quote, and it says, although the Roger Bannister effect is very real, your life is different than mine. Facts. And I'm not here to tell you that just because I did it, you can do it too. I am, however, here to say that if you want to change something, you absolutely can. All right, cool. So the only thing that's left is for you to take action and do the thing. And then, of course, to become more successful, you do not have to change who you are. You have to become more of who you are. And that's pretty much it. That's her social media, Instagram, The Movement Maestro. And she has a website, and then, of course, her email and all that kind of stuff. All right. So that was her presentation for us before we even started the clinic. And I can't tell you, a lot of us felt a weight come off of us after she shared that because of everything that we've been experiencing. So, you know, it was like, to me, for me at that time, I know the job was stressful because of, you know, it's business and what it is, but I've always had a joy. I'll never take away the joy, and I always love to treat patients. It's just the paperwork and all that gets in the way. But when that pandemic hit, it made me really question my role in being in physical therapy. I actually thought about letting the career go myself, but I knew deep down inside that wasn't what I was supposed to do, because part of who I am is I invest in people. And I know that this is a field that I've always loved. I found the passion of physical therapy based off of my personal experience as an athlete with injuries that I share with y'all on injury prevention, and how I wanted to help people who were hurt to recover and feel better. And that's always been my passion for why I am doing physical therapy. I don't agree with things that are going on in the industry, but I'm not going to let that take away my joy for what I am there for. Now, it may not be my main limelight, because my goal is to pull back from working in physical therapy and not making it be my main hustle, but making it be a side hustle and maybe PRN and stuff, and still have that joy of being in. So that's where I'm at about that, you know. So talking about you guys and your job and you know, whatever it is that you have going on. And this video, I hope it inspired you. Shout out to Dr. Cofield for what she shared with her presentation. And she is a good person to follow on social media on Instagram. So this slide, I'm giving credit to her, and I'm just using it to share for those who are on here. And you guys be inspired. I'm going to stop recording, and I'm just going to open up the floor for you guys, because I don't want to record unless you guys want to record something on here, but I'll just leave it open for y'all. Okay, I'm gonna close out of it.